Lao Tzu was an ancient Chinese philosopher and writer who is known to be the founder of Taoism. Taoism is a philosophy which emphasizes becoming one with the rhythms of nature, is known as the Way or Tao. He is also credited as the writer of Taoism's most sacred text, Tao Te Ching, in which he associates the process of achieving real happiness with managing the four fundamental areas of life: resources, relationships, self-development, and self-maintenance. The Old Master's teachings, even after 2,500 years, are world-renowned, studied, and practiced by millions around the world, and so in this video we're going to explore how to be happy by managing these four fundamental areas of life. Number 1. Resources. Lao Tzu says, "Heaven's way is like stretching a bow. The high is lowered and the low is raised. Excess is reduced and deficiency is replenished. Heaven's way reduces excess and replenishes deficiency. People's way is not so. They reduce the deficient and supply the excessive." What Lao Tzu tries to tell us is that we have to avoid excess and replenish deficiency. In other words, we need to take care of all of our resources in an equal way. Resources doesn't only mean money. It can be anything which can be traded or can be anything you use for your daily well-being. Typically, these include money, your possessions, for example, your house, your car, your brain power, your talents, and your physical prowess. In Taoism, there is a concept of yin and yang that says that each aspect of nature is dual, and we need to balance the opposites in order to live in harmony with nature. Yin is the passive and yang is the active principle of the duality, and this duality can be seen in all patterns of nature, such as in the annual cycle of winter and summer, the daily cycle of night and day. Yin and yang are complementary parts of qi, which is the vital force driving us. If Tao is like an ocean connecting everything, qi is an energy pattern. It is the wave. When our qi is balanced between yin and yang and is flowing smoothly, this leads to a fulfilled life. The concept of balancing the complementary parts can be applied to the subject of resource management. We have to make sure we don't use too much of a resource at the expense of another. For example, you use your talents in your job to excess. You get promoted and you enjoy doing overtime at work, doing what you love. But you completely ignore your health. You don't take your time to replenish your physical power. In the long run, this can be very detrimental. It can even shorten your life. If you use one resource to excess, you end up creating disharmony in the universe, your vital force. Your qi will not be balanced, and as a consequence, you can feel tired, irritable, stressed. You can even feel pain, actual muscle weakness. It can affect your health, and you may underperform in other areas of your life. Just like any structure or a building that is supported by equal upright pillars, the resources you have are the pillars of your well-being. You have to nurture and balance all of them. Managing resources in our everyday lives, be it in what we eat, what we wear, how we live, how we work, might just be the antidote to our stressful, modern, consumption-led world, as Taoism embraces a more balanced approach. That is to say, having just enough to meet your needs, not your wants. This leads to living a sustainable lifestyle that embraces the pleasures of existence rather than those of consumption. And when you focus on the pleasures of existence, you live the heaven's way, a simple, happy life. Number 2. Relationships. In the words of Lao Tzu, the sage does not hoard. The more he does for others, the more he has. The more he thereby gives to others, the ever more he gets. To live according to Tao, you must live in harmony with everything around you, your community, nature, and with the universe on a larger scale. Living in harmony means to do no harm and, moreover, to nurture, protect, and contribute to the well-being of everything around you. As we all humans are part of this universe, we have to see others as our extended family. We have to take care of each other. In Taoism, there is a karmic principle which says that everything you do will eventually come back to you in one way or another. Thus, if we care about others, if we give our help and support, these good deeds will come back to us in the end. We'll receive back even more care, love, and support. On the contrary, if we hurt other people and the environment, we're not acting in harmony with human society, with the universe, and the harm we did to others will harm us even more in the end. The moral is that everything you do to others or the environment is a seed of everything that will be done to you later. No person is an island, and being happy has much to do with the relationship between you and what surrounds you. There are many scientific studies proving the importance of having a healthy social life, for example. A Harvard study on adult development found that good relationships are the key factors that matter most for long-lasting happiness. Good relationships keep us happier and healthier. One of the most important ways to achieve a lifelong happiness is to focus on meaningful relationships and on trying to improve or eliminate the bad relationships in our lives. To really start to implement this Taoist way of living, as an exercise, make 3 lists. A list with your family members and close friends, then another list with people you've hurt, and finally a 3rd list with people who have hurt you. The first list is the list of people you should take care of on a daily basis. Give them comfort and support them always, in both the good and bad times. The second list is the list of people you should apologize to and try to repair the harm you caused them. The last list is the list of people you must forgive, because resentment is a poison and it can cause more harm to you than the person who harmed you. All human beings are part of this cosmic force, Tao, and the way we treat each other is basically the way we treat ourselves. Live in harmony with others. Take care of others as you would take care of yourself or a family member. Take care of your environment, and your life will become harmonious and peaceful. Number 3. Self-development. To quote Lao Tzu, "A great nation is like a great man. When he makes a mistake, he realizes it. Having realized it, he admits it. Having admitted it, he corrects it. He considers those who point out his faults as his most benevolent teachers." Striving for excellence should be a primary focus in life. In Taoism, to achieve excellence means to achieve an advanced level of self-mastery, to stop taking things personally, to think before reacting, to know how to listen to criticism and learn from it. Mastering your fears and emotions are the keys to achieving happiness. Taoist masters always talked about the importance of the words you use and the things you do, because they become the house you will live in, which means they have great consequences for your life that can affect your relationships, your career, and your well-being. To live happily, you have to build a beautiful house from your words and actions, and self-mastery plays a major key in this. People who spend enough time to work on self-development and self-mastery understand themselves in a better way. They can control their thoughts. They know how to avoid negative thinking, and they know how to learn from their mistakes. Growing personally leads to more happiness. The first test of self-mastery is to be able to realize, then admit your mistakes, and then correct them. Oftentimes, this can prove to be very difficult. We're blinded by pride and by the fear to lower ourselves in the eyes of others, so we cover up our mistakes with lame excuses. However, passing this simple but important test, you can prove to be a mature person, capable of recognizing and indeed correcting your mistakes. The second test is to be able to listen to and learn from the people who criticize you, who point out your faults. It takes strength and discipline to be able to hide your anger and embarrassment while listening to hard criticism. But this is what you should do if you want to learn from your mistakes and polish your character. Moreover, Lao Tzu suggests that you also have to be grateful when somebody points out your mistakes, as it is a great opportunity for you to become aware of your faults and to improve yourself. To pass these 2 tests, you firstly need the right mental attitude. You need to understand that your mistakes are not statements about who you truly are, but are indicators of where you are at the moment. To go further, you need to know where you are, what kind of mistakes you're still making, and you need the proper map, the teachers, the people who point out your defects. As a useful practice, stop for a few minutes every evening and write down the mistakes you made and think about what criticism you received that day. Make a plan to correct the mistakes and character defects that have been pointed out to you. Follow it and keep a record of your improvements. In Taoism, discipline is not based on self-motivation, but on mastering your energies. If you're able to master your energies, then you'll have the maturity to correct your mistakes and learn from the criticism you receive. Number 4. Self-maintenance. As we learn from Lao Tzu, he who treasures his body as much as the world can care for the world. He who loves his body as much as the world can be entrusted with the world. Self-maintenance in Taoism means respecting your body. The human body is said to have its own energy pattern, which is known as Zhanghu. The Zhanghu model has particular organs that correspond to the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. The organs have yin and yang properties assigned, which, if not balanced, will result in particular illnesses. To keep the yin and yang energies in balance, Taoism recommends the practice of Wu Wei, which means doing action through non-action. In other words, to be in a flow state, to do things effortlessly. By practicing Wu Wei, we can reach a state of complete spontaneity and happiness, the state of Zuran. In Taoism, you're happy when you're able to follow the spontaneous course of things, and so to achieve the state of happiness, you have to know how to balance the yin-yang energies in your body. Sometimes our body has too much yin and sometimes too much yang. Yin regulates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digestive state; yang, the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight state, which is most typically activated by danger. If we have too much yin, we become demotivated, lazy. We miss out on the joy which new adventures can bring. On the other hand, if we have too much yang, we become overstressed. We don't relax enough. We don't recuperate enough, and this can be extremely damaging to our health. We need to make sure that we balance the yin and yang in our bodies. Each of our organs has to be in balance. For example, our brain. Scientists proved that our brain functions best when it has medium levels of stress. Or in other words, when yin and yang are at an equilibrium. We need both rest and stimulation in our lives. Taoism glorifies the human body, comparing it sometimes with a country, the spirit being the king and the other viscera being the officials. As a country must be administered and led very well, so too the body. Before somebody tries to take leadership of anything in this world, they have to first be able to take leadership of their own body, and they have to be able to administer it with excellence. To implement the Taoist wisdom of the body in our lives, we need to apply practices like meditation, qigong, and mindfulness. This will help us to slow down in our fast-paced modern world. This way, we can learn to respect our body more, taking care of it in a more serious way. To balance the yin and yang energies, we need to organize our schedule in such a way that we alternate intense periods of activity, your yang, with relaxing periods of your yin. We need to sleep enough, to eat and have a satisfying sexual relationship, but we also need to put ourselves out of our comfort zone by doing intense mental work at our jobs, or by performing intense physical activity, or by facing the inconvenience of speaking in public, for example. There is a great link between our body and our mental state and spirit. To take care of our body means to know how to balance our energy, our yin and yang, and this balance leads to Zuran, a state of naturalness and happiness. Developing all of these 4 fundamental areas is mandatory if we want to have a happy life, and ignoring even one of them can lead to unhappiness. In other words, when a person is unhappy, this means that there's a dramatic lack in at least one of those 4 fundamental life areas. For example, if we ignore an area like self-development, our relationships can start to suffer because we're not capable of learning from our mistakes and we continuously hurt other people. As a consequence, we'll become unhappy in time. The wise thing to do is to schedule our week in such a way that we allocate enough time to reflect and work on each of the 4 areas in order to live a happy and fulfilling life.